Oh, thank you for having me. So welcome everyone to DefiSummer. As it was said, my name is Marina. I want to tell you all that I joined Enzyme last week. So today I'm an enthusiast and I have been following their project a while since it was called MLN. But so today I'm going to walk you through what is Enzyme all about, how it works, some of the releases we have had. I'm going to do a short demo and the upcoming releases, the competition that we're putting out there, the prize, and then see if you guys have any questions. But as I have joined, it would be, if there were a Q&A, it would be more of a queue. So if you have any questions, I will get the help here. And then you can send also on the Telegram channel or on our Discord channel, and I'll make sure they're all answered. Okay, but I just want to make sure everything is perfect. So let's start. Enzyme is an on-chain asset management, as it was mentioned. It's a decentralized asset management infrastructure built on Ethereum. So what is that exactly? Previously, on traditional finance, fund managers would have to be people who had a lot of money. They had to be lucky. And there was a lot of bureaucracy and administration. So with Enzyme, people who are skillful, who actually have a drive and would like to create financial strategies, they can build vaults to scale, monetize on-chain, interacting with DeFi. So what Enzyme does, it lowers the barriers. And Mona Lisa, the founder and CEO of Enzyme, she got inspired to create Enzyme to fix a problem of her own. When she was in Goldman Sachs, she then got to manage her own hedge fund. And even though she had the look, she had the money, she realized there was so much admin that with Enzyme and the smart contracts, this gets made it so easy for you all to see. I'll be creating a vault so you see how simple it can be, actually. But Enzyme is not only for vault managers. So people like me or anyone who is interested in crypto and is interested in DeFi in general, but does not have the time or cannot follow everything that is happening in the space because there's so much going on, they can browse the vaults on Enzyme and invest in the ones that are aligned with their own strategy. And that also saves them some cost. Just like it saves for the vault managers, it saves for the people who want to invest. Because if you go to different projects, you normally have to pay different gas fees in each of the projects, right? But by investing in the vault, you will only spend the gas fee once, and then you can count on someone who will manage that vault for you. And differently from traditional finance, in which trust was something that you had to have for the fund manager. If you had to know that person, the smart contracts make it clear and easy for everyone. So I'll do a quick demo. I'll get out of here and I'll show you all how easy it is to actually create your own vault and to deposit. All you have to do is to go to the enzyme.finance website. You click on Launch App. And then here you have to connect your wallet. I will use my MetaMask wallet to connect. Okay. That's the one I have. So you have a few options, and then it's connecting. Okay, let's see what's happening. Yes. And then you go to Vault Managers. So when you click on Vault Managers, you will click on Create a Vault, and then you have to put the basic settings of your vault. So first things first, you put the name of the vault you want to have. In this case, I'll put Marina 12. And then you are going to put the domination asset. So that means the asset that the depositors will deposit into the vault, that they will see the share price, and that the performance will be measured. So let's put Curve just for a change. You can decide the fees that you want to implement. So there can be a management fee, a performance fee, and an entrance fee. But as today is a good day, I will not put any fees on my vault. And then you can put a bit of a criteria on the deposits. So limit who can deposit and the deposit amount that you want the person to deposit. I'm also not going to do any of that. There can be a redemptions as an option. So what does that mean? People can basically withdraw at any time. But when you're using a lot of synthetics, that is not instant oftentimes. It might take a bit of time. So what the vault manager can do is guarantee a withdrawal window for those people and a redemption. which is optional as well. I will not do that today. And then there's an advanced settings. So say you're a vault manager who has a lot of experience, you want to do something a bit more sophisticated on your vault, you can do flash loan protection, as well as risk management policies, such as blacklist, whitelist, adapters, so on. I am not that sophisticated, let's put it this way. So I'll click next, and then you're going to review the data you've put. You're happy with that. You read your terms and conditions. You click I agree to terms and conditions, and you click create. So to create a vault, you have the summary and you submit the transaction, and then you have here your gas fees, which are currently quite low, and then you click submit. And that's it. It's created. I won't click submit because that will be on the blockchain forever, and I didn't put much thought into the vault. So that would be it. So that's the Vault Manager. So you saw how simple it is. So let's go now through the depositors. And now it's amazing. I remember when I made a deposit back then as well. The gas fee was so outrageous back then because they were high as a whole for the whole market. But now it's really good. It's a great time to actually deposit as well. So thanks for that. So I'm going to go to the deposits. So here, when you want to deposit, before that, you can look at the leaderboard and you have there a display on how it has performed this month, the last 7 days, the assets under management, the top assets that they do. And you can filter a bit and explore before going. You can browse them and you can look at your deposits. So as this is like a mock-up account, there is not there yet. We're going to do that now. But I have looked into it a bit. I already know there's several deposits here, several vaults, and you can have different tabs. You can really spend some time looking. But I've decided I want to deposit on Tekemi Capital today. So when you click deposit, you're going to see a bit of the vault. So you have the share price, the performance in a graph, the assets under management, the number of depositors, and the average monthly return. You have the breakdown on the months of the monthly return, the vault holdings, and basically all the information that the vault manager have put, you will see here as well on the fact sheet. So the name, the description, the strategy, the managers, to make it very transparent and clear for the depositor what he's doing. So then you have the financials, the fees, the rule set, the depositors with all the addresses, the deposits, and the trades. And then you see to deposit, so simple, like you don't need to do any KYC as you might have to do in different exchanges and platforms. It's a simple, you decide the amount, you click deposit, the amount you want to deposit. So I'm going to do half an Ethereum, and you can do Ethereum or USDC, and you read the terms and conditions, and then you agree to the terms and conditions, and then you're going to click deposit. Bear with me. So then it would be click deposit. And then again, it gives you the summary, the gas fees, and then you click submit and the deposit is made. So it is that simple. Now you know how to set up a vault, how to make a deposit. As we have mentioned, the Enzyme team is working a lot to add new things to the protocol and the app. There's constant work. Some of the recent additions were some of the very popular ones, like the Aave integration, which allows vault managers to access the vault Aave depositing and then earn yields on that. The Curve integration, allowing them to access Curve pools. IDO integration for IDO token farming. And unified trading interface. That's pretty much very Enzyme related. If you ever used the trade section before, it used to be that you would see all the exchanges that were integrated separately. Now they're all at one glance. You see all the exchanges that we are integrated with and the price feeds, so you can make a quick decision instead of actually having to check one by one. What is upcoming that will come very soon, actually, it's all being worked on and should be, some of them must be coming in the next days, are the Yearn vaults. So where you can get different pools of funds. I mentioned that we had Curve, but we didn't have Curve Euro pools, so that's being added. We're adding more wallet options for sign-in. Currently, there is MetaMask and Wallet Connect, but soon to be those two plus Coinbase, Ethereum, Taros, and Portis, and TypeScript SDK, which is pretty connected with the competition and what you guys are going to be building. So I'll share the link of the SDK afterwards, or I don't know if you already have it, but I'll send it afterwards. And next week, my colleague Aaron, who is very well versed, who wrote the TypeScript SDK documentation, he will be walking you guys through what is an example, what is to be done, answering any questions, and he'll be clearing things up a bit more than me. And then if you are following Enzyme, you know that there's a lot of work being done on Zulu release, and it's been announced. One of them is the MIP7, the tokenomics, which is being worked on at the moment. So to charge fees as a percentage of the AUM, this has been agreed on the council and will be very good for everyone. There's balancer integration also for generating yield and farming rewards. There's going to be inter-release upgradability, so changing vault configuration within the same release. What does that mean? When I created my vault, I named it, for example, Marina 1.2. And then that would only be able to be updated after a good while. Now with that, I could change it to DefiSummer, and I will have this opportunity to do it more than only once. There will be borrowing, so people can borrow assets using other assets as collateral and earn interest. There will be the Alpha Homora version 2 integration, so for farming on leverage, Uniswap version 3, and the gas relayer. So currently, vault managers pay gas fees themselves. In the future, just like as in traditional finance, gas fees will be paid out of the fund, making kind of everything more clean and more sustainable. And now about the prize and what is expected. There's a trading automation prize. It's $4,000 in MLN tokens. So the idea is to develop an interface and a bot that allows hedge funds on Enzyme Finance to build trading strategies, fund allocations. So basically a bot that uses Enzyme to trade as you like. And that's it. Thank you.
So I accidentally did not record my microphone, and if you hear any pauses in Marina's presentation, it's because I came in and I was making some additional comments, and I'll touch on that now. But I wanted to re-record this segment, which is a presentation that was meant to be standalone. So you'll see me quickly skipping over some details Marina already covered. And we already covered what Enzyme Finance is, but I wanted to outline the whole asset management industry as a whole and really emphasize the importance of why decentralized protocols like Enzyme really change the industry for what it is. And so the industry itself, in terms of asset management, is growing at 26% compound annual growth from now till 2027, and it's at 216 billion. And so it's huge, with the largest firms being BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity. You might have heard those names. And a lot of these names are also getting into crypto asset management, whether it's on chain, no, but they are getting into crypto and adding that to their portfolio. And so what is their average returns? And it's around 4.5% for the last 10 years. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because with Enzyme, you can see in live time what people's returns are, and then you can benchmark it against traditional hedge funds. So, if your fund is transparently showing that it's making more than 5% annual returns, then you beat the rates of hedge fund. And coming from an investor standpoint, where I can transparently see and check the status of your fund every day, this is a better alternative to investing in the traditional hedge funds, and where the managers make most of the fees, traditionally being like 20% off the carry. And so this is something you can see in the rule set, like Marina was making. She added no rules in her example, but you can see what the entrance fee payouts are, what the manager fees, and so on. And so here is just a little bit more in depth about the average annual returns. And so the S&P actually outperformed in instances the average hedge fund. And the hedge funds usually have fees to come on board, as opposed to Enzyme, which is no KYC, or it is completely kind of both anonymous and transparent, where you don't have to give ID to start a fund. You just have to have your wallet, your Web3 wallet connected. And so the status quo for the hedge funds are it costs around 50K to 100K for first year operation cost. And as we've seen, and that was the comment I made that might have been blank, gas fees at the time Marina was making the vault were $20. And for Minority Venture Capital, which is a fund affiliated with Minority Programmers, at the time in February, it was $200. And you see, as the gas fees, the fees that you pay miners for adding to the blockchain, verifying transactions, and which is compounded because of these complex contract calls. This can really add up. And so how often you get updates from hedge funds? And usually they have quarterly reports. The thing I like about Enzyme is you can see every single day, not even every single day, but in live times, as soon as these trades or these transactions hit the blockchain, you can use an app like Zerion to get notified. And so this is completely changes the game. It adds way more accountability, way more transparency. And it's really not clear on how these hedge funds are paid out. There really isn't a a global aggregated database of hedge funds, and to see what their cut is. And that's again what I love about Enzyme. It's essentially a database where you can see asset management payout fees, and choose the one that you think is more suitable to the type of fund manager you want organizing. I mean, controlling your assets. And so, like I mentioned, even the biggest traditional asset management firms are investing in crypto. And the biggest funds, Grayscale Investments or Pantera, um, although they're crypto funds, what I do not like about them is that they're not on-chain crypto funds. They're really kind of traditional way of investing, and then looking at crypto as an asset class rather than facilitating their whole fund with their backbone being the Ethereum blockchain, which what Enzyme allows you to do. And so, traditional ways of the average investor to get exposure to crypto assets is investing in funds like the GBTC, which is a Grayscale's Bitcoin fund, or investing in crypto-related companies like Coinbase, which just had its IPO. And so, some venture capital firms that invest in blockchains, and they're private versus public. And thing I don't like about VCs, other than their their influence to perpetuate inorganic growth, is that they're private, and it's not open to anyone. Although there is a function to whitelist wallets, or to say that this wallet address is the only one who can invest in my fund, and also to do that with token assets, which you might have seen in Marina's demo. But traditionally, like a lot of these funds you can just invest into. You can go shopping. You can say, okay, this is what they're invested in. This is their strategy based on their description. This is their history of trades. This is their history of returns. And then you can even time the entry of when you're going to purchase their share. And their share kind of acts like a stock price, or it acts like it acts like a way to measure the performance of a fund. So a fund's performance is directly linked to its share price. So what does it mean to be on chain? And you might have heard of blockchain, and that's all that it means, that these transactions are on a blockchain, or a public ledger of transactions that are linked to the previous transaction. And that's all on-chain asset management means. That means that all of the trades, or all of the functions of a fund, are on a blockchain. In Enzyme's case, it's on the Ethereum blockchain on most dApps, unless they kind of built on a compatible solution. It's based off the Ethereum blockchain and its ecosystems. And why? And unlike a database, or unlike an order book for a centralized trading platform, this is fully transparent, There is no API calls that are limited for accessing the blockchain. Anyone can see the blockchain. No one can shut down the blockchain without shutting down the decentralized network of nodes. And you can even look at Ethereum and see where the nodes are, and really kind of determine for yourself how decentralized it is. It also allows investors to keep control of their private keys, and this is absolutely essential. So your private keys are your password to your wallet, basically. And really, we are never holding custody of someone's money. Other than the flash loan protection that you saw in Marina's presentation, there really is no limits for an investor withdrawing from the fund. If they're not liking how we're making plays or making trades, they can take out their money at any time. It's completely transparent, and we can see that they took out their money. And so it also allows investors to keep their private keys, so that even if they memorize their seed phrase, even if they're get waterboarded or traveling across the country or anywhere, anything, as long as they keep these private keys, they can regenerate their wallet, and they can regenerate the ENZF, these the ERC20 token shares that represent the fund. And so that is always with them. There is no taking that from them. And so that's what I love about Enzyme, that it not only allows people to get this exposure without KYCing, but it allows them to really have their money. Where some people might have realized in 2017 when a lot of that ICO stuff was happening, these exchanges, they would delist the coin and we'd lose the coin, and that can't happen because it's non-custodial asset management. Like Enzyme Finance does not hold the funds, and you can see the funds in the comptroller address. And I'm in a video on exploring the Enzyme funds, and this was kind of explained earlier. And so there are kind of two different bodies. There's Enzyme Finance, which is like the front end and the protocol, and there's Avant-Garde, which started in 2016, and they're the research team developing towards that. Towards building the Enzyme protocol. And the only reason why I mention that is because they're Avant-Garde GitHubs, and you might be using that repo and be wondering who they are. And so and just some background on it, I got to emphasize that Enzyme protocol, and there's only really one other kind of asset management on ETH, is the oldest one, and it's a veteran in the game. It was formerly known as the MLN protocol, and that's why the ticker name is MLN. Yeah, they're really veterans in the game. Mona Lisa, she I think became a star trader of at Goldman Sachs at the age of 26, and she saw that there's a lot of hurdles when starting a fund, and then basically developed a protocol to completely change that. And that's what I admire about her, someone coming from the industry, and then developing a product to fulfill that need. So just kind of stepping through an Enzyme platform, Marina already did this, and this is a screenshot from last week. So we mentioned that the gas fees were $20 at that time. At last week, when it was really a red market, when the network wasn't congested, when other people were using layer 2 solutions, the gas fees were low as $9, and this is in contrast with the 75K to 100K of initial operating costs to run a fund. And so it's completely lowers the barriers to entries. And this isn't even with Sulu. This isn't even with roll-ups. Like, this isn't with the layer 2 solution. This is just pure ETH. $9 to launch a fund with the deployer contract. So here's some use cases. So the first one being, as someone who invest in crypto, or for other people who invest in crypto, we don't have a way to show other people, I am good with money. I can invest crypto. My own investments do outperform traditional hedge funds by a lot. Some crypto investors double, triple, 10x their money, and this is clearly better than hedge funds. And for someone who wants to show like a resume point that I am a better asset manager than the status quo, than the real estate market, this not only shows your performance, but shows exactly what you were doing throughout history. And so that's what I really like about it. Like, and a lot of people who are, even on the fund are doing it because they would normally already invest in ERC20 tokens, and they wanted to do it where other people can invest and see, that I do perform well, and that's a beautiful use case for that. It also gives you wide exposure for dynamic assets and no KYC. So for the example of minority venture capital, where at the time, well, probably now there's over 20 tokens to get. There's over 20 tokens to get in the fund. So when I automatically invest in that fund, it it gives me exposure to all those tokens, and to even get that exposure, a lot of times, especially in centralized exchanges, you have to get KYC. You have to know your customer, and they ID you. And I don't really trust. That's not, to me. That's not DeFi. If they ID you at any point, that's not DeFi. The point about being decentralized is in my opinion, is no KYC, and I think Enzyme does this the best. But in order to even get that on Ethereum, I'm not talking about, okay, I'm going to go to an exchange and I'm going to get MLN there. I'm talking about getting the ERC20 token, getting the private keys. If you don't have your private keys, it's not crypto. To get the actual crypto assets as ERC20 tokens, especially in February when I was talking about it costing 200 for gas fees, to even get that exposure, if you're getting like 20 tokens, which MVC does have, it's going to cost like 20 times 200. That's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 grand. And so it basically gives you that exposure and then puts the gas fees on the fund managers and the traders, and acts as a way to carpool your investments. That way you can make plays like a whale, without individually paying for the gas fees, which I can't even afford. Because even to get that exposure might be more than the actual initial investment that you're making into the fund. And so that's something I think is really underemphasized. To even get exposure to this many crypto assets in a no KYC way would cost so much gas. And that's what I love about Enzyme. And then it also allows you to follow other funds to show industry trends. Like I'm saying, like this is an aggregate of live time of the performance of all these on-chain funds. And something that I want, some of y'all to think that, who are actually coding and with the SDK and interacting with the protocol, is how can I, aggregate all the funds in general, and then understand industry trends, and then automate based on what kind of the top performers are doing, and using that as a benchmark. And that's all open, accessible data. And this is what I recommend for every hedge fund. And I'm not recommending this just to shill Enzyme, but if you're spending 50 to 100K on operating a fund, spend $20 and then have exposure to crypto assets. And it's not just crypto assets. There is dollars, there's stable coins, there's synthetics on it that brings commodities like gold and oil. And as the DeFi ecosystem builds, they're gonna bring stocks, they're gonna bring every asset, they're gonna turn things into assets that were never assets before. Real estate, games, anything. And so this things that can't be done in traditional finance are being done in DeFi, and everything that's being done in traditional finance is being ported to DeFi, whether you support blockchain or not. And from a to not even consider this, given that the fees are less than any subscription to any service for your organization, I think is very ill-sighted. And if you have a hedge fund, having one person start a fund or start it on testnet just to gain that exposure, just to gain that experience, I would highly recommend it. And I tell this to people all the time. It's not, blockchain isn't this fad technology. It's not even too much. I mean, it is a disruptor, but how I look at it is, it is a new way to have a database. You know, eh, this is, to me, as pivotal as writing your trades on paper to to online trading, as online trading is to putting it on chain. And again, like, I would explore this opportunity. I would start getting your fund, or at least entertaining it. And so, yeah, that's something I would definitely do. And you can even see in Marina's example, I think on USF, on Slash Finance, they just moved kind of 60 million onto there. And yeah, and so, and I would highly recommend it now while you can still get on the leaderboard, because Enzyme does gamify funds into competing with each other through their leaderboard. So I would definitely encourage you get on that if you do have a hedge fund, and even contact us or come on here like, yo, how do I set this up? I mean, Marina just showed you, but we could also show you how to interact with the protocol and things of that nature. So I highly recommend converting your existing hedge fund on chain. And so there are different strategies. A lot of these are kind of updates on Medium, is where these screenshots are from. But the main exchanges are Paraswap, Uniswap, and Synthetics. And like we mentioned in the in 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 the intro to DeFi presentation, DeFi is all about being composable, being able to aggregate all these protocols and maximize the whole decentralized finance ecosystem. And I think Enzyme is very good at kind of understanding what fund managers and traders need, and then integrating that as fast as possible. With a lot of these, the revamping of Enzyme actually happened in February. So most of these revisions or most of these feature updates were happening in the past 4 months. And so they use Chainlink, and they just announced the ADDX integration, and also Idle Finance, which is just announced as a sponsor for us, is also a yield maximizing strategy that you can implement into Enzyme, with also Aave being on there. But how we keep track of all these kind of revisions and whatnot, or features, is we go to enzyme.candy.io, which is their public ticketing system. And and so I'm gonna go there right now, actually. Really love this ticketing system so much. This is enzyme.candy.io. Candy.io is just a public facing ticketing system where you can request features and you can request bugs. And we're actually kind of implementing this into our own blockchain governance systems, but that's to be announced soon. But I love it because you can put feature requests and bug requests, and then it'll be shown in the plan if it gets uploaded, and then you can see them working on in progress. And this is how we get a sense of what's about to drop. We just look on the candy and we're like, oh, and this comes directly from the people. And then you can see that they completed. For example, they added Matic as an asset that you can put. They added curve lending pools. And can show the balance in USD, and things of that nature. So this is a really good tool if you're a fund manager and you are making income. You're gaining performance fees every crystallization period. Mm, you have a vested interest to see the ecosystem grow, because the more functionality means the more you can do as a fund. And this has a huge impact now, where there really isn't trading automation unless you directly, as a fund, have worked with the protocol and developed your own system. There really isn't kind of even layer two solutions right now, which completely changed the frequency of the trades and the nature of kind of high frequency trading. So there's so much potential right now that contributing to this ecosystem and letting them know this is what we need as fund managers has an impact directly on the income that you make from being a fund manager. So I would highly recommend using this to not only improve the ecosystem, but to see what's going on and what's about to drop and what I can do. Token, because it was formerly the MLN protocol, and is pretty promising. And the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because the winner of the hackathon prize that gets 4K in Melon, that has potential to really grow. As you see, all-time highs were in January 2018. We haven't even seen that in the past cycles of 250, where it's even gone up to like 160, 170, 180, where it's probably 60 now. And so if you get, melon tokens at 60, you get 4K of it, and it goes to 200, that is like winning a prize on top of a prize. And being the leading on-chain asset management protocol, and even building out this functionality by the end of it will give it a huge advantage. And I really look at this as an opportunity to not only develop on the Enzyme protocol, but to long the coin itself. And Yeah, and so what's kind of next for Enzyme? We mentioned that Marina mentioned that in the Sulu, and kind of some suggestions, which they're already working on, coming from the kind of fund manager perspective, is the gas fees need to go down. They're already pretty cheap, but I'm talking like cents, like fractions of a cents, like Matic rates, where you can start to play around with high frequency trading. There needs to be trading automation, which is, with this competition is for even price alerts, and then also DAOs for fund strategies. So right now, what I really like about Enzyme, and this is what makes it easy to translate your current hedge fund, is you have a fund manager, who creates that. In that instance, it would be Marina. But you can whitelist wallets as delegated traders or people who are approved to make trades under that. They could just make the trade if they want to, if they pay the gas. But one thing that I do want to see is DAOs and kind of adding multi-sig transactions and the ability to vote on trades or vote on strategies, and then using the trading automation to take what the DAO decides and then automate based on that. And I think that will completely change the game. Is kind of the icing on top of the cake that will really make it so that, like, how can you not convert your hedge fund to Enzyme? Like, it has not only everything you need, but it has a governance system that is more equitable than your current business practices. So I think that would be a huge advantage, and that's just a suggestion. And so these are different resources. And so on Kovan on .enzyme.finance, Kovan, as we covered in the past, is a test net on Ethereum where you get the actual Kovan ETH from GitHub. So you go to GitHub, they give you a couple every day, and then you can go around and test with that. The only reason why I'm mentioning this is because when you're working with the Enzyme SDK, which is the next link, the software development kit, you're going to want to test it on a test net. You're not going to want to have a bot start trading your money, just cause, like, that's not, if you got money to blow like that, like, still do it on test net because you can make money off Enzyme. But there, another reason why is you can start, like, and I think this is very underutilized. You can start using Kovan.enzyme as a simulation game. Some of y'all might have played like a simulation game back in high school or even elementary school, where they give you 100K of fake money and it's pegged to the real stock market, and you trade based on that. And you're like, okay, this is how I get exposed to the markets. So I recommend, the process for starting a fund is the same. You can go on Uniswap's Kovan network and actually get the particular denomination asset, like in Marina's case it was DAI or Curve. You can get that by swapping and then investing that initially from the Kovan ETH you get from GitHub. But I would start a fund today, everybody or anybody, just as a way to play and be like, all right, this is on chain, this is how I perform, and to get your foot in the water because it's free and it's actually pretty fun. And so the SDK.enzyme.finance is the explanation of the documentation for the software development kit. And this just came out. So before this, like, there was really not much explanation behind the Medium article. So this is going to be kind of the go-to resource for people in the hackathon. And then I think Aaron is coming next week, as Marina mentioned, to go in more depth. And he wrote the documentation. So he'd be the perfect candidate for that. There's also Enzyme's GitHub, in addition to Avantgarde's GitHub, and the Enzyme subgraph. So that's the graph protocol, a way to index blockchain data. And you guys might be working on there too. So all these links are available. They're also in the description of this video as well. And so what you need to build, and let me emphasize again the importance of this, like, you need to build front-end applications that directly interact with the Enzyme protocol so any fund manager can automate their trading strategy. This is something that is needed by fund managers today, and it will be used. Currently, there's a pain with fund managers where it's pretty time consuming to approve these transactions. There are things like approving a transaction and actually doing the transaction, and the time it takes you have to be active on whether that's been approved to go on to the next one. It's very time consuming, even for fund managers onboarding investors. It takes a while to even get them on board. It's pretty time consuming on ETH, depending on the congestion. And so even exiting and entering, if you're not doing with a bot, you have to be paying attention to the markets and really it's pretty laborious to do it with the current status quo. So developing a bot that automates trading strategies would literally save people time and then maximize returns. There's no question about it. So if you're competing this price track, this will be used, and this will change the asset management game as a whole, because that doesn't exist. So the hack starts in July. You have 6 weeks and with 4,000 in MLN. And so I would highly recommend start looking at resources now, and tune in to next week's workshop. But I'm really enthusiastic about seeing what you guys have to build and helping you through this experience. So yeah, I just want to thank Marina for coming out. And yeah, if you have any questions, just go on the Enzyme channel chat on the DefiSummer Discord, and we'll make sure to answer them. We're always here, and yeah, we're hopefully you learned a lot.